What's up, everybody? It's Jason. Welcome back to the channel. We're talking about the 30 and 30 right now, and going over all 30 teams. We're in the East. We've already done the Central. We've already done the West. They're in the description down below, as well as a couple other videos like MLB free agent predictions, 2021 contract predictions, and some other ones. So make sure you hit that subscribe button right now and the notification so you don't miss what I'm going to be putting out moving forward. Because after I finish the 30 and 30, I got some really, really good stuff coming up after that that you're not going to want to miss. So today's team of the day, we're talking about the Philadelphia Phillies. Okay? A perennial playoff team. They've spent a lot. They've invested a lot of money these last couple off seasons, and prospect capital for trades and expensive free agents. I mean, they brought in Bryce Harper. They traded for JT Realmuto and Segura, and they've made a lot of moves. They brought in Didi Gregorius through free agency, and a couple years ago they brought in Jake Arrieta. Not every move panned out the way they thought, but most of them have. But they're in a position now where the payroll's pretty high, and they have to make a decision, particularly on JT Realmuto and shortstop, that we don't really know what they're going to do. But unfortunately, I think there's enough players available this offseason for them to address their needs and, not have to kind of, put themselves in a financial albatross or whatever you want to call it, and tie themselves up for later. And, and honestly, as long as Bryce Harper keeps producing, his contract's going to be, worth it. So it really will be. I mean, 2 years in, it's worth it so far. And he's produced for them. So now, identifying some needs, looking at my baseball book here, relief pitching, starting pitching. Obviously, shortstop and catcher are the two most glaring ones. And so let's talk about that, all right? What do I think they should do, all right? And then I'll go over what I think they'll actually do, my predictions. For relief pitching, I think they should bring in maybe two guys. And they spent a lot. They traded for like 3 or 4 guys at the trade deadline. None of them really panned out, unfortunately. So they have to bring in, I think, at least 2 relievers, potentially 3. Trevor May and Justin Wilson are my most eye-popping, ones that just as a fit for Philadelphia. Not the sexiest moves. Can I see them bringing in a Blake Treinen or a Liam Hendricks? Yes, I could. Would not be surprised at all. At all. So I would keep my eyes out for something like that. But Justin Wilson, a reliable lefty. Trevor May, another reliable arm. It gives their bullpen depth. And now is the time to capitalize on depth with this offseason. Okay, there's a lot of free agents, and they're going to be looking for homes. And, after that top crop are signed with other teams, there's going to be a boatload of guys who you can get it for a great value that are going to be productive players. And in this environment, there's going to be a lot more of those than normal. So, Justin Wilson and Trevor May, to me, stand out as good options for their bullpen. Starting pitching, obviously Trevor Bauer is the sexy pick, but I don't see him coming to Philadelphia. Then again, I could be wrong, but I think James Paxton's a good fit for him and a few other teams. But James Paxton would be a good fit, and even bringing back somebody like Cole Hamels would be a good fit too. And I think either one or both would be helpful additions to that rotation. They're down Jake Arrieta, his contract's up, and then they need a couple of pitchers behind Aaron Nola to give them some stability and some depth. Like I've said, it's very important right now, particularly in the starting rotation. If somebody goes down and you don't have depth behind it, or 2 guys go down or 3, that's where you get into trouble. And as a Yankee fan, this has happened to the Yankees several years over the past decade, where 2 or 3 pitchers went down, and it sucks. So this is where you capitalize on depth and get these guys as options on the back end. So again, Paxton and Cole Hamels would be good options to bring in. Shortstop, personally, I think they should re-sign Didi Gregorius. He was great for them, and he was a perfect fit in the lineup and on the field. Solid lefty bat, good defender. He's improved tremendously over the past couple of years. He's improved his ability to hit lefties as well as he hit righties too. So he's made a lot of strides. And again, they can bring him in. He's already familiar with the area, the lineup, the team. He's a perfect fit for Joe Girardi too. They already have experience with each other from the Yankees. And you can get him probably on a 2 or 3 year deal. Just lock him up and put him there. And he's still young, and he's a hell of a teammate, and he's a good professional player and veteran. He's a perfect fit for me for the Phillies. I don't think they need to go out and bring in Trevor Story or Correa or Baez or or Lindor, as much as it would probably make their team better. I just don't see the need for the Phillies to do it. I think they had the right person for shortstop there, and it's Didi Gregorius. So I do think they should bring him back. He'd be a perfect fit. And for catching, obviously, they should bring back JT Realmuto. I mean, he was a perfect fit for them. Yes, he's going to be expensive, probably the most expensive catcher ever in terms of contract. But he is 30, so he's on, which puts you on the wrong side of 30, unfortunately. But even though he's going to cost, right now he's the best combination catcher in baseball, offensive and defensive. So so you pay for that premium, and so I think they should bring him back. He's going to have some suitors. It may turn into a bidding war, but I think the Phillies should strike first and strike hard. So, and do anything they can to bring him back. So, now, that's what I think they should do. What do I think they'll actually do? I think they're going to bring, I think they're going to do a couple things. I think they're going to bring in Tony Watson for the bullpen. Okay, good, solid veteran. I also think they're going to bring in Ken Giles, but more of a storage project. He's recovering from Tommy John, right? So that he's going to recover this year. They'll get him on a low salary, and then they'll have him for 2022. Maybe even the end of 2021, maybe, but more so for 2022. They store him away. He's a good, solid veteran. He's been a power arm for a while. He's been pretty reliable over the last couple of years. So this is a good one, again, to let him rehab and be there for 2022 to go with a bunch of other relievers, too. So at the very least, Tony Watson and Ken Giles would be good fits. Shortstop, for some reason, I have a feeling they're not going to bring Didi Gregorius back. My gut's telling me they're going to bring in Marcus Semien of the A's. Again, a big bat, a righty. And I don't think that I think he priced himself out of Oakland. Do I think he represents a massive upgrade over Didi Gregorius? Not a massive upgrade, maybe an incremental one, but he had a little bit of an off year, but a lot of superstars had that in 2020. So that's who I see them bringing in for shortstop. Would he obviously be complimentary to the lineup in the field? Yes, of course. He's a good player. He's been good for several years. So he's the guy I see them bringing in, probably on a 3-year deal or maybe even a 4-year deal at this point. And if it was a normal situation, he'd probably get her a 5 or 6-year deal at bigger money, but it's a sign of the times right now. So Marcus Semien is my pick for them for shortstop. And again, not a bad pick. I think Didi Gregorius is the better fit for them, but we'll see. I had originally predicted them to bring in Kevin Gausman for starting, but he accepted a qualifying offer from the Giants, which was the right move for him. He did what he needed to do. He's a good fit in San Francisco. He would have had a lot of suitors as well. He'd have been an attractive starter. So, and instead of bringing in Gausman, I do have them bringing back Cole Hamels. I also have them either trading for Lance Lynn or bringing in J.A. Happ. So I have Happ predicted to a couple of teams. Well, actually not a couple of teams, just one other team aside from the Phillies, because I think he's a good fit. Him and Hamels would be a nice, 2 depth players to come in. Or him and someone else, him and Lance Lynn, or Lance Lynn and Hamels, or whatever it is, 2 pitchers. They would be good veterans to add to that rotation and give those young players some protection. These guys can still throw some innings, okay? And, I think they'd be good fits either way. And again, they're not going to break the bank, okay? They really aren't. And you could probably get both of them on a 1 or 2 year deal, or 1-year deal with an option for a 2nd year, whatever it is. But that's who I see. I don't see them making any sexy moves on pitching. The sexy move to me is Marcus Semien. He's a big move, okay? Which means I do not have them bringing back JT Realmuto, unfortunately. That's going to sting. He is the best catcher, and I think he's just a better fit, and I think the Phillies are going to get outbid, unfortunately, by another team. If you don't know who I haven't predicted to, watch my MLB free agent predictions video in the description. You'll see exactly where I have him going. And I think he's a good fit there, and I think they're going to spend a lot of money to get him. More than the Phillies would, more than most teams would. So somebody's going to severely overpay for him because of the need. So I see them bringing in a James McCann of the White Sox or Austin Romine And probably more likely James McCann or even in Alex Avila, formerly of the Detroit Tigers. So not sexy moves, but catchers who can come in and handle a pitching staff really well, be decent with the bat, good in the field, and do the job honorably and do the job serviceably well. So not sexy, but I think, those guys, particularly James McCann, would be a good addition to that team. And he can still handle a stat. His bat is not as robust as Real Muto. He's not a Piazza or anything like that. But he doesn't have to be. So they have a lot of those guys already on the team. But you bring in like a McCann and you bring in Marcus Semien, that's good offensive addition anyway. And you bring in a couple of relievers and a few starters. And, they may bring in some other folks to address some other needs. But we'll see. That's what I have the Phillies doing. Let me know what you think. Put your feedback in the comments down below. It's always welcome. Again, I thank you all for making comments. Even though not everybody agrees with me or with each other, that's totally fine. It gives everybody different perspectives. And I learn from Phillies fans. It's like I learn from Brewers and Blue Jays and whoever else. You guys make the channel better. So thank you for your feedback and stuff like that. And hopefully you can enjoy the dialogue with each other. After today, where are we going? Oh, yeah. We're going to Tampa Bay, baby. Talk about the American League champion Tampa Bay Rays. So that's the next video. We're going to go from Philly, get on the Learjet, go over to Tampa Bay, Florida, talk about those guys. And then after that, we have the New York Mets and the New York Yankees, and then we'll be done with the East. It'll be finito. And then we'll have some other crazy good videos after that. So please hit that subscribe button and notification if you haven't yet. I hope you enjoyed this. Thanks for watching. Be safe. Let's take care of each other out there, and I'll see you in Tampa.